All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone. I hope everyone's going well. All right, let's jump straight into it. I'm making sure everything's set up. We are joined today with Socks is right down here. There she is. She's like, hello. Yeah, let's jump straight into it. All right, we're gonna find out. I do believe last time we left off with everything sort of set up. I do believe the API is correct, and now we just got to connect stuff to the API. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. Let's get this up and running. Let's npm run watch the front end. And yeah, let's get localhost open. Oops. All right, so we're going to jump straight in. We're going to find a sprint. We've only got one sprint, so we can jump straight into it. In this sort of case, we have these 8 items. And if we hit the API, we also get those 8 items. So if we go localhost API version 0, it would mean sprint 1. I forgot what the data was called. No, it would just be sprint 1. And we'll get this data, the object results. This one actually has the correct sort of information, being like, all right, cool, some of this stuff is under the correct locations and so forth like that. We could apply a sort order by start date and end date in here, and then yeah, we can easily do that too, which I better actually do. I'm just wondering, oops. All right. Let's go into the backend for a second, because this is adding stuff in. It loops through. It loops through and adds stuff in. So that gets the object. We do all of that kind of fun stuff. We add it all in. Oh, I know we might have to use a lambda for this. So Python lambda, not W3 schools. Probably because I spelled this wrong. Oh. Just not bringing up the what I want. All right, Python sort array of objects by attribute. So in here, we've got the sort of to do it like this. So we'll have the key equals lambda, delete x count, reverse equals true. We'll be doing it by start date. New list equals, we're in a new list, use sorted. All right, to sort the list in place, we're going to sort the list in place. In fact, we can just go sort here. We can go, I'm going to copy this. There we go. Just for reference. Sorry, that was just having a little bit of trouble. So we're going to go key equals lambda. We're going to go x. We're going to go x dot start date. We're not going to reverse it. Yeah, we don't want it reversed. And I think it'll be just like that. Now the next thing is, what if I want to do it with 2 different values? So start date and then end date. So multiple attributes. I actually don't know. Oh, okay. So we put it in little brackets. Okay. Okay, easy done. So that gave me a bit of a yawn. Now I'm just gonna hit refresh. Doesn't like that. Dict object has no attribute. Hang on, where am I? Where am I? So yeah, we do have start date, we do have end date. It's saying dict object has no attributes. Start date, do we have to put it in a... Let's first off simplify it. I mean, that should work. I'm just gonna hit refresh. No. Alright. Don't say it wants us to do this. Because yeah, we should have start date from here. Yeah, no sucks. Yeah, no, it doesn't like that. All right, not a problem. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to put a breakpoint there, and we're going to find out what this is built up. And I'm terribly sorry, I just missed our first ad break. For those on Twitch, I do apologize. All right, let's just bump into this. And welcome back. For those on Twitch, I'm terribly sorry I missed the first ad break. I do apologize. So yeah, you didn't miss much. We're just finding out why this wasn't working. So if I hover over this and we open it up, we've got a bunch of dicks. Should have a start date for all of them. Oh, these might... It doesn't seem right though. Yeah, I hardly ever do lambda, so bear with me whilst I try and remember. Oops. Oh, I've got the... I think that doesn't like it because we need to go key equals lambda, like that. Okay, cool. Wait for it to come back. I'm just gonna hit play. Also gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna hit play again. Yeah, all right. Even if I do title in here, which does exist, it's up here. Let's hit refresh. Okay, not a problem. We can get the front end to do all this sorting, so that's not going to be a problem at all. I'm just going to get that and remove it. We're just going to do that. We're just going to return the results, and the results should be fine. So, what I want to do now is I want to connect the front end up properly. So I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, this is going to be a more of a temporary thing at the moment. We just want the object results, and we also want the status results too. All right, let's go to the front end. Let's get the front end connected to this API now. So I'm just gonna close all other tabs over here. We don't need it. I'm happy with this, pulling out that data. What we want to do is we want to go into NearBeach. We want to go into source, JavaScript components. This is part of the sprints functionality. So I want to open up the sprints and go into sprint information. Socks is directly in the way of the monitor. Thank you, Socks. So when we mount, we sort of send stuff up. But also with the props, we send stuff to it, and we know that's incorrect at the moment. So we want to fix up all of that. So we also want to stop the backend doing any extra work that it doesn't need to. So at the moment, we'll go into views. We'll scroll down to the sprint section. All right. All right, sprint information. We get the template, we get all the stuff, we get the Gantt sort of stuff also. Do I not get it from here? Sock, you're on the keyboard and mouse. Come on, off. No, off. Okay, let's go back into here. Let's actually search what we actually do. So I'm moving that to the left. I'm just going to go into the network tab, which is going to hit refresh. So we get data. And that's our data that we get. What was the original issue? Yes, it's because, yeah, all right. So, going back to this, if we get the headers, we want the get data. We want to override that. So, I want to do something like this. I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to find it. It won't work because of this. And I think all right, not a problem. I need to find where this is called. It doesn't help either. Oh, I had the file mask on. It was a bit silly of me. All right, so we want to do something like this. We want the root. There's our get data. So there it is there. What we want to do is we want to change this to be the new location. We also have we're doing a bunch of stuff in here. All right. Yeah, I'm doing a bunch of stuff in here. So we're getting the data, the response data. Essentially, this will be very similar. It'll be the response.data. It'll then be the status results. Status results. All right, cool. And then the object results too. And then we send it through like that. Okay, so yeah, this will be for the sprint. Okay, so this should be this dot root URL. This dot destination. I'm forgetting the API version 0. And you got this destination, and then you've got this location ID. So we're actually fetching the data. Now, later on, what's going to happen when we move everything to the API calls and stuff like that, so the front end will quite literally just send user a blank page, and then VueJS will handle everything from there. Yeah, everything will be connected to the API. And if I hit refresh, we've got a 405. Because it's sent to HTTP localhost, API version 0, sprint 1. So API version 0, sprint 1. Method not allowed. And yeah, this would be a get. Not a getty, a get. All right, easy done. So, continuing back over here, we're just gonna wait a couple of seconds. We're gonna hit reload. There we go, got everything. Perfect. If we move that to the right, what we've got here is we've got a bunch of, we're letting the front end do all the sorting and stuff like that. So we've got all the requirement items up at the top. That makes sense because you kind of want them sort of up the top and everything goes underneath it. As you see, everything sort of lines up. We've got these two particular tasks under there. We've got all 4 tasks still. All right, so yeah, this is working a lot better than it did before. I've just moved project 1 under 186, and there you go, that's still working. So we're not going to change that particular endpoint just yet. We will when we actually implement the API a lot better and yeah, get this all working. So yeah, and considering I've just updated that, if I move another one in there, I'm just seeing what the results are. So I'm going to bump this back off to the left so you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. So we posted something there. I'm just seeing what the response is. We just got a success. All right, that's it. So it knows the front end doesn't need any updating of the data. So yeah, cool. With the API, we'll probably, I'm just thinking we'll probably end up doing that. Not 100% sure yet. So yeah, we don't have the proper statuses. That is something we've got to now fix. And that is mainly because if we have a look in the API, I do believe we had status actually separated into 2 different, we had it further structured, I'm trying to think of the words, we did this better. Instead of having status ID 4, we actually had status and then had status ID and status name as an object. So we're going to implement that because that's how we should do it. We should also make sure that these statuses are lined up exactly. And yeah, now we're in the bug fixing zone for this particular thing, and then we can deploy. We can say we've done that. So yeah, and we can then delete the old code and make sure it's never touched again. So yeah, which will be good. We should actually do that now. Oh my God. No. That one. Thank you. So we've got 3 usages. Don't know why still, but if we delete it, what we can do is we can find those particular issues and go, all right, we're removing you. Because yeah, we don't want that inline code. So if I do this, we should be able to find it pretty quickly. That's just not to worry about that. That's in the API, that's in the API. We got this. So this is the Gantt chart. So we've got this. This is the Gantt chart get data. I don't think we're using this one anymore because we've just deleted it. So I'm going to remove it there. I'm then going to remove this completely. And then we should remove that. And this one's add object to sprint. It does all of that stuff, and then it sends stuff back. All right. This is going to be a bug. We might need to actually implement this elsewhere. Or move this add object to sprint into the API, which we can do. That shouldn't be too hard to implement. Alternatively, can I get that data from the API and pass that one through? But we're already... I will have to figure that one out. Okay, cool. So if I hit refresh, everything should build. There we go. Let's fix the statuses first. Everything should be in there. And then, yeah, if we actually move stuff out, that should actually remove that link. So if we go into link object, it's no longer there. All right, sweet. All right, so statuses. Let's open up this. Let's make sure the statuses are loaded correctly for each one of those objects. So we're going to go into the Gantt chart. We're going to open up the Gantt chart, open up the config thing. You'll see that each one of these ones is set up like this. So we've got the render row. I'm going to go render Gantt row. We're going to have a look for start date. We've got NAs for the end dates, which makes sense because requirement items are essentially user stories. They don't actually have a start and end date. Is closed, all that kind of stuff. That's all fine. Data. We've got a status list, which is... made up of 400 items? No. All right, this is weird. Because the status list shouldn't be that big. Oh God. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong with the status items. Okay, let's fix that up first. So I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to, let's just close all tabs. Focus on this one particular item. So we're going to go into NearBeach. We're going to go into the views. We're going to go into the API. We're going to open up the Sprint API. So down here, we should have get status results. So status results, we've got 3 different objects that we're looking at. We look up the dictionary. We go status results, object filter is deleted. That's why. We're actually looking up all the all right. It's this one little line here. What we want to do is we want to go object equals, and we actually have a utility for this now. So if we go to NearBeach, open up our utilities, we've got our objects, we've got the object status dictionary. So we've got this. All this does is it's a very simple function. It just returns back the object that we're looking for. That is this particular destination. So I want that. So we want to go get object status from destination, and we just type in the destination. Now I just got to wait for a little while for this to reboot up. Ooh, all right, manager object has no, yep, all right, cool. And then in here, yeah, all right. So it should be sending object of objects, and then we just go filter. Like that, and that should work. All right, let's hit refresh a couple of times. Requirement item, higher order status into field. Requirement item status not permitted. I've really screwed up this, haven't I? Yeah. Let's just get the status result. It's just getting that, and then what we want, destination status ID, destination status. Should be requirement item. We don't need this. Should be just that. All right, gotta wait for the server to reboot. And there we go. So if we close that and close that, we now have a lot less, which is good news. So if we have a look at the requirement item, we've got 10, we've got 6, and we've got 6 for tasks. So some of them would be like backlog, new, backlog, blocked, in progress, test, review, and close. And then you've got the higher order status, backlog, normal, and closed. Easy done. So if I hit refresh, we're now not getting that issue. So if I move that to the right, there we go. We've got like the testing and all that kind of stuff, user testing, and these ones will be different because one's a project, one's a task. In NearBeach, we're allowing users to have different statuses depending on what type of object it is, which is kind of cool. Isn't that right, Socks? She's like, no. All right, so after we've done that, we've got all the data coming through. That's working perfectly fine. Now, the one problem is if we add in an object, so if we go in here and go task, let's add in, let's say a couple of tasks, and we just add object in. Sorry, we came across an issue, object sprint error, can't access property map. Gantt chart data is undefined. So yes. So we got a response, but it was empty. And we don't want to refresh the page. I think we got around a bug issue once by refreshing the page. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to set this up properly. Now, this is a sprint. So we are adding an object to a sprint. I'm just having a look at the API. So views, API, sprint API. Oh, we have it open. It doesn't matter. So here it is. We've got the create, we've got the destroy, we've got the list, we've got the retrieve, we've got the update. So updates realized, oh yeah, that's just updating the sprint information itself, not the individual objects inside it. So this particular list down here. What we're currently doing is we're hitting the add object, which is, we've got the sprint views, we've got add object to sprint here. And yeah, we do kind of need that data, but that's all set under here. And I'm not setting up a class. I'm not hacking anything in to get that to work. I mean, it's plausible. But in reality, what I want to do is all right. There's a couple of things I can do. I can create a sorry, I'm just having a think. I can create another API endpoint where we can list everything that's underneath it. We can then add stuff to it, the other objects to it. But it means I've got to change how this all functions. I'm just also wondering if I can add in, but then again, not really. I can probably extend stuff. Yeah, and then I can use the functionalities from the lower method. Oops, sorry, socks. That could potentially work. So what am I talking about? All right, so we've got our class. I forgot what it's called. The Sprint API view. Under it, we have, and I'll zoom in, under it we have a couple of methods or functions, and one of them is to get object data, or whatever we've called it. Again, it's like they get object results. All right, and this is set up perfectly. Now there's two options we can do. We could either extend this class, so that way we can sort of hijack these particular methods again, so we don't have to redeclare them, or we redeclare them. Now, I'm going to go on the first option, mainly because if there's an issue, I'm only fixing it in one spot, and I'm not fixing it in multiple different spots. We can always override the other methods and say, we're not using them. So for example, if someone tries to post to this extended class, it won't work. and stuff like that. So yeah. However, the list functionality will still work as a backup sort of option. Yeah, I like that idea. Alternatively, we could flip it on its head and set it up as the base sort of thing. Put all those functions. No, that's getting overly complicated. All right. I think the option. I think this is going to be the option. Anyway, we've hit our second ad break for tonight. Welcome. I'm just going to quickly go off, get myself a drink of water and stuff like that. Hopefully Socks will keep you entertained. She is demanding. So yeah, I'll be right back. Alright. Did you entertain everyone? And welcome back, everyone. Okay, hopefully Socks kept you entertained. So yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to extend it. I'm going to override all the methods to what I just need. No, Socks, you can't just keep going back and forth. She's like, every single time I move the camera, she comes back and she's like, hello. Hello. You bet. Okay. What do we want to call this? Because what we're doing, and if I move this back to the left, what we're doing is we're adding art objects to the sprint. Oh my god. Headers. There we go. So we're adding object to sprint, and if we're going off the current sort of philosophy of how we're doing this API, when we add stuff to stuff, let's go to Swagger. I can show you guys on Swagger. So if we're actually adding in, let's say, Kanban board or something like that, we'll post to it. And I think that's what we want to do. Now, in this sort of case, we've got other things like this, where we've got the API version 0, we've got like destination location, and then we can get all the links associated with that. Or we can add in a link associated with that. Excuse me. Sorry. We could potentially do that too. Oops. Sorry, not potentially do that. We're going to do that. So, difference is, if we have a look at the sprints, we've got the sprints, and then we've got the object sprint. Oh, this is getting big now. So that's the get, that's the add. I've now got to think of it as like a name for this. I think object sprint. I think I screwed up when I called it object sprint. Really, it should be just called sprint. And then we'll have one called subobjects. Or link. Now, I don't want to overtake these because we're actually technically adding in a link and stuff like that. I don't want to take over these to be like, all right, cool, you got to do this, this, and this, because this is in a case, a very special case. Sprints work a bit differently. So we've got the destination, location ID, got the object sprint. And I think, yeah, we'll need to do the link. That, and also I'm pretty sure these links won't pick them up. So, link relationship, object, so change task, all right, cool, yeah, there's no sprints in there whatsoever. In this sort of case, I'm gonna say, let's call it link, let's be very specific about that. Because we are sort of connecting another object to a sprint. That sort of vague terminology does already exist in the system where you link two objects together. For example, you might have a couple of tasks that get linked to a project, which then gets linked to a requirement item. And the idea is the requirement item is the user story. From there, you build up a project, and from there, you build up your tasks and these sort of extra tasks and stuff like that. So, going here, what we want to do is we want to scroll up here. We've got the Sprint API view. I'm going to call one Sprint link API view.py. We're going to add it into the source code. We're going to move that over there. That's all perfectly fine. We are going to extend this, but first what I need to do from this will be the REST framework. Actually, no. From here, import the sprint use. Hang on, I'm self-referencing there. From dot, this would be the sprint. Oh yeah, sprint API view. Import the sprint. Oh, what did we call it? Sprint view set. All right, easy done. And then what we got is we're going to extend the schema. Easy done. That will automatically pull stuff in. This will be tags equals sprint. I think. And then we've got the class sprint link view set, and it's going to extend from that. So I don't need to import as much. Now, what we do need to do is query set equals, and this is where we actually have to look up some stuff. So I want to do data grep. I'm just having a quick look. All right, cool. put that over there. All right, so yeah, this is NearBeach's local development. We're going to open up the main. We're going to have a look at the tables. We're going to go down and we're looking at the sprint object assignment table. So this is the sprint object assignment table. This is what our base will be built upon. This is the main table that we're actually going to manipulate, and this is how we're going to, this is the table that connects sprints up to certain objects. So, query set. The query set and serializer class. So, our query set will equal the sprint object assignment. Not objects at all. Oh, actually, no. We don't want anything that isn't deleted. Now, the serializer itself, this is a bit different because we're dealing with the links we actually want to use. And this is where I've got to go and go down a couple of levels. So remember, sprint object serializer, I think we want. So we've got the description, end date, higher order, object ID, object type, parent type, da, da, da. So, yup. All right, sweet. So what we need to do is serializer class equals all right, cool. We've got all of that. Now, another thing, I don't like adding in these dots to do this because the code could move around and all that kind of stuff, and it gets a bit tricky. So that's why I'm modifying these right now. I don't know why I didn't find that. All right, cool. So we don't need to worry about the static methods or anything like that at the moment. What we do need to worry about is the other methods. So the create, the destroy, the list, update, no. Because when you make the connection, the only thing you're actually really doing from there is either you're deleting it or you're listing it out. So we don't need to do the one. We need to do the list, not the retrieve and update. So I'm trying to remember, there is a way which we can state that this class only does certain methods. So the Django REST framework, this is what VueJS supported methods. Let's have a quick look at the in here. All right. Yeah, we do have that. Oh, hang on. I think it's set up here. Trying to remember where we would do this. I think the Kanban card. There we go. HTTP method names. So we're going to paste that in. So we've got to create. So that's the post. Destroy. We won't do a put. And the get is a list. And RW Grim, how are you going? How was the rest of your stream? And Corpse, how are you going? So yeah, how's everyone? Or Jack, I should say. So yeah, we're adding a few things more to the API, just due to a couple of issues, and we're like, we can solve this with the API. So we're moving ahead with the API for these particular. To solve these particular issues. So yeah, and along with Chris, welcome. Don't hurt yourself. Sorry, bad joke. I know, bad joke. Super tired, gonna drop and run. Yep, that fair enough. Anyway, thank you very much for the raid. So yeah, welcome everyone. I am Robotic Head. I'm working on an open source project management system that hopefully one day you will use. We are currently in the wind down for the 0.31 branch, and then from there, sorry, I keep dropping stuff, and then from there we'll be working on 0.32, which is a lot of background, a lot of database improvements, a lot of UI improvements and stuff like that, but it's a different focus of what we're focusing with this particular one. With NearBeach, you can gather basic customer or organization data. From there, collect user requirements, break them down into requirement items, which you can think of as being user stories. From there, you can create Kanban boards, projects, and tasks. And when you're ready to deploy, you can build a request for change. So yeah. Is there something I can do, like contribute, maybe? Yeah, there's always stuff you can do. For example, bug finding is a good one. Ideas, we do actually like people contributing ideas. So quite a lot of swanky features that we've added into the Kanban board. Let me just... This fixture doesn't actually have a proper Kanban board. Like the ability for these particular lanes to actually collapse and stuff like that. That was just someone's idea, being like, can you actually make that happen? And yeah. It's also on GitHub. And for those that have joined, we have a Discord, we have a GitHub. So yeah, there we go. Hopefully everyone's going well. So yeah, the problem we were solving is we had some inline SQL because I couldn't at the time figure out how to get a very complicated SQL statement running in Django's ORM. I have since figured that out and have realized that, yeah, the inline SQL is not going to work whatsoever. So I'm ripping that out. So yeah, and another raid. Ward Stone Studio, welcome. Thank you very much for the raid. How are you going? How was your stream? Technically a double raid, fair enough. It does happen. It does happen. I am making sure I am following you. There we go. And hello, Suyash Codes, welcome. I do apologize if I get your name wrong. I'm terrible with new names. So yeah, welcome everyone. You just missed my spiel. So stream went well until I screwed up the rate. It happens to me too. I once rated someone just after they rated someone. So yeah, go right, don't worry. Awesome. So yes, welcome. I'm Robotic Head. I'm working on an open source project management system. It's hard to get the time right. Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about that. It's happened to everyone. You go raid someone, and then they raid someone as you're raiding them, and you're like, oh. Demand the inclusion of more cowbell. Are you going to work on this into your project? I mean, to find the cowbell, like, we could add it as a logo. So, yeah, NearBeach is an open source project management system. We're currently winding down the 0.31 branch, which was to build in a couple of features and so forth like that. 0.32 will focus more on bug fixes, database improvements, and also UI UX improvements. So hopefully, you'll see this change in a good way. It's not too bad. Led me to here and meet a new dev. Yeah, welcome. So yeah. You can gather basic user details like organizations and customers. From there, gather user requirements, break them down into requirement items, which is equivalent to a user story. From there, you can have Kanban boards, projects, and tasks. And when you're ready to deploy, a request for change. So yeah, we're currently, and we've been doing this for a couple of days, we're fixing a bug with our sprint system. So we had some inline SQL, which is a big no-no. Essentially it worked perfectly fine on SQLite, and it just broke on one of the databases and so forth like that, and I was like, all right, cool. It's a complicated SQL. I ended up rewriting it in ORM, the Django's ORM functionality. It's good enough. it's a very complicated thing because it deals with how NearBeach joins each of its objects together. We are now just writing another endpoint, so we decided to move this into the API for a number of reasons. One of them was because we're moving everything slowly to the Django REST Framework API. And we're like, we'll move this earlier just to get this sort of working, and so I don't need to double handle stuff. Inline SQL sounds like injectable. In most cases, yes. Luckily, this one wasn't. I did use the Python's preferred method of setting it all up, and also you could only insert an integer. So yeah, you had it would have been a tricky thing to get to do. So yeah. All right. Where was I? I was setting up the new endpoints. So I'm just going to cheat down here. I'm going to put update. We are going to put it in, and we're going to go and return an error. And this is where I am trying to remember a bunch of things from the REST framework. Dot response, import response, and we don't have status at that level from. And we can import statuses like that. So down here, I can go response. I can then go status equals status dot HTTP. 403 is forbidden. Unauthorized, it's method not allowed. 405, method not allowed. This is an API, so I can hook it from something else. Yes, so one of the users of NearBeach got in contact with me and was like, listen, I kind of want to set up, I want to do this particular thing and so forth like that. Is it possible to get an API in it? And we're like, well, yes it is. So we spent a couple of months implementing it, getting feedback, iterating on feedback and so forth like that, till we're actually quite happy where we are right now. It is at version 0, so it could change in the next couple of months. But usually at the moment, those changes would be just name change, like URL path changes. So a good example would be, I probably will change this from object sprint down to just sprint. There is a reason why I said object sprint. But yeah, we could do some tweaks like that. But once we're very, very happy in 0.32, we'll solidify version 1. So yeah. So we've got this, the self, I think, wait. I'm double checking I've got the command right, because it has been a number of months since I've done this. Def self request KP equals none, args and quags, method not allowed. Yeah, we'll stay with method not allowed. Unless there's another status we could potentially hijack. For those wondering what this site is, HTTPCAT, it's one I use all the time because, you know, I don't remember 100 little tiny statuses. I'm terrible at remembering all of that. All right, so we could do, 404 means it's not found. I mean, technically, all right. I think method not allowed it would work in this sort of case because we're not allowing a post against the ID. All right, I'm gonna keep it like that. The list, that's listing everything, which is what we want. And that will be getting data. 429, 100%. Let's have a look. 429. Too many requests. I'll look up to see if I can use it in my daily life somehow. I currently have an AI model run the smart home items in my house, locks, camera, lights, cameras. Oh, nice. And if I can further extend its reach, it would be nice. I've already given it access to my emails, text calendar, and access to some parts of the web, private wiki backup, etc. And the idea of this helping me when working on projects does sound, yeah. We do have a Discord, so we're open for any recommendations and stuff like that. We know this is an alpha. We're trying to get to a stage, especially once we've fixed up the UI UX, to sort of release a 1.0 version. So yeah, yeah. And along with Chris, my favorite one is, well, there's always 420, but it's the 418 I'm a teapot. So much so we've actually put that Easter egg into NearBeach itself. If you have a look under the coffee API, we've actually got the status 418 in here. It's like, why did you put coffee in me when you're trying to create something? And then it's like, destroy, hey, don't break things. And then you got the list, teapot, hello, did you want to make some tea? And then retrieve, sorry, I'm a teapot, and then update, sorry, teapot cannot be upgraded to coffee pot. It's the one I thought I was referring to. Yeah, no, all good, all good. It is a good one. So yeah, it is implemented into NearBeach. All right, so the list we do want, the destroy we do want, and the create we do want. The update we don't want. So, putting it like this, it just means we might need to do tea is better than water anyway. No notes. When you're saying no notes, you mean no notes against objects? All right, or no notes with that little Easter egg. Now I'm going to stay in here. No. It'll be up here. So the gets is the post is to create it, then delete. And the reason why I'm doing this to override it is because otherwise it'll try and use that, which we don't want. No, it's as in perfect information. Yeah, yeah, cool. All right, so I'm just going to put in here. Method not used. I think that's good enough. So that way, if this ends up in the documentation, we can remove it. In fact, hang on. There might be a way to remove it, but for the love of me, I have forgotten. Yes. Oh, and I have forgotten to say thank you very much for the follow, the Whitechapel and Wardenstone Studio. So yeah, I hope you are enjoying my content. And that's perfectly fine along with Chris. Get some good rest. So yeah. And thank you very much for coming. I hope to see you again. All right. So I'm just thinking. I am going to copy some, not code. It's really, I'm copying some documentation because we're going to extend on it. All right, cool. We probably need to actually bring that one in. That's perfectly fine. We'll just get that to bring in. So this, opening up that so I can just focus on this. So create sprints to help manage. Not quite. This is create or link objects to the current sprint. All right, cool. And then parameters, we'll see what parameters we need. So currently at the moment, if we actually go to the front end and we're like, all right, cool, let's add an object wizard. Let's do all of that. Let's add it in. I am just going to move this off to the left so you guys can actually see it. So, no, that's not it. I'm just going to delete that. I'm just going to reload stuff. It's fine. I'll just delete that. We'll add object wizard. Let's say we're going to add in a project. Just going to delete all that so we know what exact one that we've got. So in here, we've got two fields. We've got, we just got the form data, name, project, and then that. That's pretty easy to do. Yeah, that won't be hard at all. And then I think if we do a task, it's pretty much the same thing. So yeah, name equals task, and then we've got the value. All right, cool. And then if we do multiple of them, it's just that over and over and over again. All right, sweet. Now, we could potentially simplify this a lot. We could have object ID and object type and send those through. That might be better. And I'm trying to remember how we've set this up for other areas. So I'm going to go back to the Swagger documentation. The idea being is we're probably going to copy what we do with our links. So that's our get. This is our create. We've got the destination and location ID. So that's the parent object. And then we've got object type and object ID. Yeah, there we go. In this sort of case, we won't have the object relation. However, that being said, what's stopping me from hitting this URL? Everything, because this URL doesn't handle sprints. Sprints are different. So yeah, we could potentially just set it up like this. I'm liking that idea because we've already got the serializers in place for that. So first off, let's go over here, link an object to a current sprint. I'm probably actually going to copy that code. Let's just delete all of that. Let's open up this. Let's go to the link object data, link API data. I'm just going to pop that off to the left or the right. And what I'm going to do is I am going to copy all of that. I'm going to put it in here like this. Yep, like that. So description, this is the endpoint that allows you to link other objects. All right, cool. We're going to rewrite this. However, it's going to be very, very simple. This endpoint allows you to link an object to the current sprint. Now, just try and think. I think that's good enough wording. The objects you can link are, and it's going to be in alphabetical order: requirement item, project, and tasks. Now I'm going to make them plural. All right. This endpoint allows you to link an. I'm going to change that. This endpoint links an object to the current sprint. Yeah. All right, URL, destination, the type of object you're linking to. Oh, no, not quite. The parent object of the sprint. All right, cool. So we've got, you could use any of those. That's perfect. Oh, can you? No, you can only use, can't use task. Give me 2 seconds. List sprints. We can't create a sprint from here. I don't know why I went there. List all objects. Requirements. Assign tag, public links. No. Sprints. Yeah, we can do it on requirements. Can't do it on requirement items and projects. All right, cool. Okay, the unique ID of the parent object. So, for those that want to know, the idea with sprints is you do them at the requirement level, where that's the overall arching user requirement. For example, they might be like, we want to build a website, and then they give you a list of user stories that you create as required items. You might want to create a sprint to sort of track all that, where you put the requirement items into those sprints. And you're like, all right, this week we're tackling these particular user stories. We're going to create these projects, all these tasks, all these projects and tasks. And there's your sprint. That's how you track things and so forth like that. And then once if you don't do that sort of method, let's say you're not grabbing user stories and all that kind of fun stuff, you just create a project. Let's say it's an internal sort of thing. You're like, all right, cool, I'm going to create a project. A project is higher on the pecking order than a task. So because of that, you're able to create a sprint, and the project is meant to manage multiple tasks. And then, yeah, you can create a sprint from that. So that's why it's only in a certain couple of areas. Sprints are weird in the system. So the parameters, object type. So that will be either a requirement item, project, or task, which are objects you can put on a sprint to help track it. The object ID, and all right, cool. So example one add add task 2 to the sprint. Please note the URL will be, and then we go API version 0. Let's say project 2, and this is where I'm going to have to look up the APIs and stuff like that in here. So you'll see that destination location object sprint. Yeah, all right, not a problem. Object sprint 3. So we'll have object 2 task, and yeah, I think that will be a good enough example. All right, so now we've got the create. This is where I'm double checking the link serializer to see if I could use it. So with the link serializer, we've got the object ID, object assignment ID is read only. So object ID, we've also got the object type. I don't see any other required equals true. I mean, worst case scenario, we might need to create a serializer for this special case, because they're using object ID, object type, and what was the other thing? Sorry, object relation. So I'm just having a look. Object relation, link assignment, get fields. No. However, if we have a look in the get fields, if the context is that it's needed in there. All right. So in this sort of case, we'll probably definitely not use that serializer. We'll have a look what I've got, because if I've got something that I could use, that will be great. All right, so under NearBeach, we want to go into the views, we want to go into API, we want to realize that we don't want to go into here, we want to serializer. We have the sprint status serializer. We also have the sprint object serializer. So if I bring that object serializer over here, what we've got in here is we've got the description. So read only, 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 read only. All right. So we've got object type and object ID. Now with the read only, we just get rid of them. And then we go required equals true. Because now everything else is read only. So if I send data to this, it's going to be like, all right, cool. Every other field I don't care about. this object ID and object type I do care about. So we can just use this sprint object serializer, which we built for the extraction of the data. So I don't know why I was thinking can use the other one when I should be using this one. So with that, we also got to create an exception for this. So when we're getting the data, this won't have many results in it. It'll only have one result because this will be used in an array. So that's how it'll split it up. However, if we're posting to it, this object ID could be many. So down here, what we're going to do is we're going to have implement what's called the get fields. Like that. I think we set stuff up like that, and then and then we do the method stuff. Give me a couple of seconds. I'm trying to find where I've get fields. Super self. Yep. Super. We don't need all. We don't need. Yeah, we don't need that. Sorry, that's gone crazy. That just hallucinated that I needed that. If request not in self.context, what we want to do is we just want to return fields. That's just a null handling sort of situation there. Don't know why it is. Oops, sorry. I was meant to hit the K's to go back up. Check to see if request exists in context. Alright, so update. We want this to be creating a new link. Alright, yep. If self.context, and then we want the request method equals, and then we're putting in post. What we want to do is fields. Jack, line 51 context spelt wrong. Yes, it is. Thank you very much. And because you pointed it out, I realized I also spelled it wrong there. So fields, and then what we want to do is it's the object ID dot many equals true, I think. And I just realized I've been doing .NET all week, so I've added the semicolon at the end. And then we want to return the fields. Okay, cool. So I'm happy. I'm happy if it's just that one little tiny exception. So now that we've done that, we go into the sprint views. Sorry, not sprint views. Sprint link API. We go up, serialization class, sprint object serialization. Awesome, awesome. I then want to try and remember what I'm doing. So we want to pass it through the serializer first. So we go serializer equals oh, I didn't realize we could do that. If not serializer is valid, return a response. And then we go serializer errors, HTTP request. Otherwise, we will go create the link, and then that will be And Irvin, how are you? Will I be doing some JavaScript today? I'll be doing a very tiny amount of JavaScript today. It's mostly working on the API. However, I need to edit the front-end calls to that API and also edit a few things. Yeah, how are you going, Irvin? Hopefully you're going well. Welcome. I do hope you are enjoying my channel. All right, we've got the great link. So we can use the serializer to save stuff. All right, I'm just gonna go, yeah. But I do quite a lot of VueJS usually. It's just today we're fixing up a bug which requires quite a lot of backend intervention. All right, I am just gonna go serializer, no, not that. Serializer dot save. I think I need to pass through the change user. And then what we want to do is we want to get back the new results, and then we want to return that. So at the moment, we don't have that. Yeah, that's okay, Irvin. All right, so I need to go into the sprint object. We need to implement the save functionality in there. And if I remember correctly, it's not save, it is create. Oh no, it is saved. And that goes into the serializers. Oh, I'm trying to remember. Trying to learn some JavaScript. That is why I'm asking. Oh, that's all good. That's all good. We do recommend free code camp. Here, there are a bunch of tools and stuff like that that can be used. So yeah, my also other recommendation is build something. Just, it doesn't matter how much you know at the moment, just start building a little tiny project. It doesn't need to be huge. It can be something that you can do within an hour, whether or not that's actually changing something on the web page itself when you click a button, all the way to sort of fetching data and then displaying that data on the DOM. So yeah. All right. Now, in most cases, what we do at this particular stage is we would create it. However, this doesn't work exactly how we want it to, because when we go to create it, we don't know what object it's going to. So yeah. More reverse engineering, so I have a lot of knowledge already. Yep. All right, awesome. That's pretty cool. Yeah. A lot of what you know is just transferable into JavaScript. If you know C, pretty much a lot of the syntax is quite familiar, or C++, a bit of .NET too. Yeah, the syntax should be quite familiar. So, yeah. Yeah, and it's just experimenting, building stuff, getting things wrong, going why, and then figuring out, oh, that's why, which happens a lot with me. No matter how long I've been programming, happens all the time. And I do some silly stuff sometimes. All right. So, I'm just wondering where we're going to put this. I'm just wondering how we're going to save this to. So I do believe we do have the ability for the serializer to create something. So we could go serializer.create and then pass the information that we need down. And I'm in the wrong thing. So instead of the save functionality, we could do something like that. Yeah, I love programming because there's a lot of problem solving to do, and it's interesting. So yeah. All right, so we've got the serializer, we've got the create. I'm just gonna jump on to the serializer itself. We're gonna scroll down. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go def create, and then it will be self and then the validated data. Now, with the validated data, we need to pop out some fields. So what we need to do is we'll have object type equals the validated data and object type. So we're actually going to pop that data out of there. So that way that data isn't in that array set because it's going to cause issues if it's in there. And then we go to the object ID and we're doing the same thing. But we're still saving that information. You can never tell that you know everything or a lot. There is always something that you don't know that you do not know. Yeah, there's always something you don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of things I don't know. Hell. I don't know Japanese. It's because it's there. Game programming. I don't know game programming. Though I find it interesting. There's a lot of math in it, which I studied math. So, yeah. I do actually find it very interesting. One day I'll build something simple. A Doom clone type of thing. So, yeah. Nothing extraordinary. Something that I could build pretty quickly. So yeah. All right, and then what we want to do is we want to go validated data. Oops, I don't want to do that. Validated data. Now, validated data. There's got to be a way where I can fill out just that thing instead of the whole line of crud. Destination equals. Actually, no, that's going to be object type. I'm going to add in a line under there just to remove that. And then we've got self.object destination. Ooh, all right. This is where we've got an object dictionary there, but we don't want to actually use that anymore. We're actually moving away from it. So I'm going to undo that, do that. I don't know what buttons I clicked then to do that, but that was kind of amazing. Yeah, hopefully I'll get to it. Hopefully I will. Once I get this create function up, I need to get the front end to get to it. So hopefully in the next half an hour, I'll do a little bit of JavaScript. So yeah. All right, so we got the object ID. What we need to do is I'm going to go object equals, and then we've got the util, not this, I keep forgetting its name. I created it and everything. I'm so proud of it. It is called Object Status Dictionary. No, not Object Status Dictionary. Sorry, Object Dictionary. What am I on? Thank you. Yeah, greatly appreciated. It does actually help my channel. So yeah, it is greatly appreciated. All right, so object dictionary, and we just want the object type to pass through. We need to import this, and that's fine. I'll just do it like that. Yep, there we go. So then that gives us the ability to then go and key in a few stuff that we need. So we need the validated data. We need the object type in here. So if it's a project, it becomes a project equals, and then we need the object dot get. No, object dot object. Object dot objects dot get, and then it's pk equals object ID. And that's it. So what's actually happening here is I'm pulling out, let's say the object type is going to be project. We've got a table called project, and in the ORM I'm being like, all right, cool, this is where we want you to connect to. For those on YouTube, we run ads every half an hour on Twitch. The reason being is to stop those annoying pre-rolled ads because they suck. You don't need to worry, you can ask some questions. In fact, I can show you some JavaScript right now. All right, cool. So I'm using VueJS for the front end. So this will look a little bit different to regular, just plain JavaScript. But if you know JavaScript, a lot of it is, a lot of it connects up. So we want to go into our sprints. We got our sprint information. And then down here, oh, I don't want that. I want the add stuff. Sorry, give me a couple of seconds. Okay, going into here. We're gonna open up our network. We're gonna add object to wizard. We're just going to add something in very, very quickly. There we go. Add object to sprint. That's what we want. By the way, our company makes cheats for single player mode. Our HQ is Munich, Germany. Very interesting. Also, I also work with assembly and stuff. Oh, nice. And welcome back, everyone. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. If you're on Twitch, I was just looking up something very, very quickly. So this is our JavaScript. This is what we're going to edit. So we'll be editing this endpoint. And what this does is the Axios sends a request to our backend. We're going to change that to be the API. We're going to send some data to it. So we're actually going to edit this. And we're going to edit what happens afterwards. So for example, the construct chart, map row, convert the dates, blah blah blah. Yep, that's cool. Yep. Then mutate the yep. So yeah, when we get the data, we've got to convert the date from Python time into yeah, we've got to convert the date at one point. Then what we're going to do is because we're using VueJS, I don't know if you've heard of state management or anything like that, but VueJS has Vuex for state management, which is what we use. We just get this data and we shove it into state management. So an easy way to look at what state management is, let's say let's say you've got your application set up like that. So each of these blocks are different components that you sort of write. And let's say you want to get data from down here into here. One method is you could send it upstream and then send it downstream. That's terrible. Another method would be you set up state management up here, you just send it up there, it gets sent down here. The reason why I'm using VueJS is 5 years ago when I decided to do the rewrite of this thing, I knew VueJS better than I knew React. or any other sort of JavaScript framework at the time, and that's the reason why. I've used React, I've used Angular, so with my WordPress sites that I build, I tend to use React. Yeah, I haven't used Angular for a while, but yeah. And welcome back. How are you going, Rajput? Hopefully you're going well. All right, I'm just going to quickly do this. So we're going into the create. Now this should, we go, no, whoops, no, go to the implementation. Oh no, it's meant to be save, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be save. And then down here, hang on. Where am I going? I want the serializer. And yeah, this is going to be save. All right, cool. Never worked with VueJS, but of course I know about it. I was more interested in React. Fair enough. Yeah. I try and use a different framework every single time I do a different project. So, for example, NearBeach's marketing site is built on top of Umbraco, whereas my personal site is built off WordPress. I've done other WordPress sites for other clients, mainly because they're just used to WordPress. So, yeah. I've also used Laravel. I've also used a bunch of other, Ruby on Rails at one point, though I was not good at it. So, yeah. All right, so we just saved that to save. So if we go back up here, I'm just going to close the things we don't need open because I'm notorious for opening the wrong tab. If we go to that implementation, bingo, we come down here. That's awesome. So we've got the validated data. Oh. We've got to do a loop because the IDs can be many. Right, not a problem. That's something easy to do. We also need the current destination. So going back up here, what we can do up here is we can go request.user. We need the user data down there. We can send down the destination. Oh, I've done this before. Give me a couple of seconds. I'm going to have to reference other code I've done. So in here, we're going NearBeach. We're going views. We've got the API. We've got the available data. No, I want the object data. I'm going to have a look at the... I'm just having a look at what I... Thanks, socks. No, don't you dare do that again. Cheeky girl. Sorry, that was my cat, Socks. She walks on the keyboard every now and then. It might be one of those cases we don't move this down into the serializer. Which is fine. I'm having a look at what I've done elsewhere, and I'm like, all right, cool. We'll keep the serializer neat and tidy. We'll actually handle it up here, because I've got access to everything that I need up here. So, straight at the bat, let's go get the parent object of destination equals quags. No. I'm hating the fact that I can't actually hit tab anymore to actually fill stuff out because it fills it out with junk. And Sinaskisti. Yes, this is Django. So we're currently in the Django REST framework. We're building another API node quickly to fix up issues. So yeah, welcome. I do hope you are enjoying my content. That should be ID, that's my bad. I tend to keep these things like this. And then we've got the object type and object data, which I'm just going to nick from over here because knowing if I type this out, it's going to muck up it anyway. So, yep. Check to make sure the object exists in the list of object dictionary. Now, there could be a reason why I've done the object dictionary in here. I'm still going to do a check. Oh, sucks. So, check to make sure the object exists. This is making the object ID exist. Alright. You're doing well. Currently learning Python and Django. I'm happy that I recognize it. Fair enough. The name is German, so it's a bit difficult to pronounce, but no problem. Yes, I struggle with pronouncing stuff. So yeah, German doesn't help. No offense. So welcome. I do hope you are enjoying my content as we figure this out. So in the past, we've got to make sure that the object exists. So the object type is in that. If it doesn't, yeah, all right, cool. So if not object type in, and we're gonna just go project, task, and requirement item. I'm gonna put these in alphabetical order because I'm crazy like that. We're going to tell the user, no, this sprint doesn't, yeah, this won't work. So we're going to return, so the object type has to be that, return response. This will be our data equals, object type cannot be applied against a sprint. Cannot be linked against the sprint. Status will be 400 bad request. All right, cool. So we get rid of things we don't want. All right. We have the object type. We have the object ID. Yes. So we're going to key in what we want. So I'm just giving this a quick think. So we've got the destination. I think we just need to loop through the, and that's not object relation, that's object ID. Oops, my bad. Yeah, I think we just need to loop through the objects now. So that's the object ID. All right, if we go for item in object ID, we could just put that for ID and object ID. What we want to do is we want to create that connection. So we want to try and remember. It's going to be submit sprint I'm just going to put sprint object assignment equals sprint object assignment. I believe we just do something like that. And then from here, what we want to do is we want to do something like this. And we're going to be like, because the fields are going to be variables, we're going to put them in here. I'm wondering what happens if, for example, destination is not present in the quarks. Does that assignment throw an error, or would the value simply be empty? Good question. Very good question. So when this is actually set up, I'll go to Swagger so everyone can visually see it. You'll notice in here that the URL has destination in it. So if the destination is missing, what actually happens is the URL matching patterns won't work. So it does send you back like a 404. So yeah. And I've done it like this because that destination could be a bunch of different types of objects within NearBeach. It could be a project, could be task, requirement item, and so forth like that. And instead of creating a dozen variations of that URL, it's just easy to have it as destination and then handle the checking once it actually hits the back end. So yeah. And because it goes into the API, it gets shoved into the quarks, and then I can retrieve it from the quarks, or should be able to retrieve it from the quarks. All right, so in here, what we want to do is we want to have an F value. And what we need is the destination ID is going to equal the location ID. And then another one would be the object type. Oh, there's a special case, I think. Give me a second. Let's actually have a look at this data. So here's the database. Let me just minimize that. Let me minimize that. So that's just an ID. Those are just the created sort of things. That's the deleted sort of stuff. That's who's making the change. Oh, we don't need the destination stuff. Because we don't care, it's connected at the sprint level. All right, we just need the sprint ID. So I'm just going to type in sprint ID equals quarks. And then we go sprint ID and we're all happy with that. So in the URL pattern, the sprint ID will belong at the end. So it'll be very similar to this one. You'll have the object sprint and then the ID at the very, very end. Actually, that will be with the create. Yeah, it'll be at the end because there'll be an ID there followed by a link. So if I were to write this out, give me a couple of seconds. Sorry, it's good to actually say this out aloud. I'm just going to edit that as HTML. All right, so then it'll be sprint ID followed by a WP / and then it will be link. So the URL will be like this. I'm just wondering. Need to double check to make sure that, yeah, all right, no, we do need the destination still. All right, so we've got a bunch of checks first to do. So we've got to make sure that the object type is limited down to requirement item, project, and task. I trying to remember if that is implemented at the serializer level anyway. No, it's not. Can that be done down here? Possibly. And that gives me that ability to handle it there. So then I don't need that if statement. And thank you very much for the follow. I'm gonna try pronouncing your name again. Can I Sinas Kisti? Sinas Kiski? I'm terribly sorry with the names. I'm terrible with them. You have to go, but we'll definitely... Thank you very much for Kissy equals box in English. Oh, fair enough. Anyway, thank you very much for the follow. Thank you very much for coming along, and I do hope to see you next time. So, yeah. And hopefully next time I've got this all sorted out. So that should no longer be needed, because we're actually checking that at the... Oh my god, it's the bindings. Thank you. That should be checked. We now need to actually check to make sure that this actually does work. So we need to essentially yeah, we need to this is where I've got to reference how I've done it elsewhere. So with the link, if object type not in that, response, yep, all right, cool. And then single object, equals all of that. Object assignment, single object. I'm usually looking and joining the stream, thanks by the way, but I've always wondered, do you run front end on its own process or serve everything from Django? All right, so I usually have, so I will compile everything in a terminal. So if I make a change, this is actually watching for any changes and it gets compiled. The great news is this gets compiled directly into Django's static folder. So Django sets everything up so it goes into a static folder. So here it is. So it shoves everything into here. It's not really, you know, labeled all that crash hot, but it shoves everything in there. Django then has this ability to be like, all right, cool, I want this particular file from the static folder, and that's how everything just sort of connects up. So yeah, Django will handle quite a lot of that. And that's the sort of the process of how to do this. There are flaws to this. So for example, I will have to have my console open with the cache disabled. Otherwise, it'll still use the old code. I haven't implemented anything that will do sort of cache busting on here. To also get around with that on production, I make sure when I upload to the CDN, it is under a new versioned folder. So when you get a new version of NearBeach, you're using that new folder location. So yeah. And then if I need to make another change or anything like that, that's just a new version. All right, so I'm trying to remember how I've done this elsewhere. There are good examples where I've done this. So if we go into the views, API, I'm trying to remember, it would be like Kanban cards or something like that. So in Kanban cards, The idea is if I go to the Swagger again and we go to the Kanban cards, you'll notice that we've got the Kanban board and then the Kanban card. We always double check that the card is connected to the right board ID. We don't assume that the users sent the correct data. They could easily do a typo and then make a change on a different card, not connected to that board. What project would you recommend me to do in order to understand DOM manipulation with vanilla JavaScript? Ooh. How much DOM manipulation do you know? Because the first thing I would sort of recommend to anyone is going to a website. I'm just going to the news website or anything like that. Let's bump that off to the left. Oh God, they've got so many things. Oh God. Have a look at this and be like, all right, cool. Test ID, article link. All right, cool. I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna go into the console. I'm gonna go document, get elements by class name. I think that was the class name. We'll find out in a second. No, it wasn't. Oh, that's data test ID. All right, no, that's not what I wanted. Can I get elements by? No, I can't get elements by data tag. Let's say tag name and h1. All right, and then you're like, all right, cool. I should have put that in a value variable like that. And you're like, all right, cool. I've got length of 1. So in here, then you can go dot equals hello world and stuff like that. So you can actually practice manipulating the DOM using vanilla JavaScript in your browser. So yeah, and that's okay, David. So yeah, yeah, I think with all its flaws, it sort of still works. It's just that, yeah, when you're developing, you've got to delete your cache on your computer. That is a problem, but however, when it goes to the release cycle, we are using different version numbers and stuff like that. However, that being said, if you're self-hosting, you do need to clean the cache, which is also a problem. We will eventually get around to actually putting something in where something like the Django template or something like that will put in a cache busting mechanism in it or something like that, which is fairly easy to do. If we open up NearBeach, we open up, let's say NearBeach, let's open up the testimonials, NearBeach. I'm after the master here. What you would do is when you're including the static, all right, this is part the header, so this will be the not the, actually it'll be in the footer if memory serves me correctly, because the JavaScript's got to load at the bottom of the page. You could easily put in a query string in here that pulls the current version of NearBeach, and that could act as a cache buster when you upgrade. So yeah. Awesome. And if you got any feedback, we have a Discord. So yeah. All right, where was I? I was going to make sure that the sprint and the destination and object all line up. And I know I've done something similar. This is it, get 404. We're just going to copy this just to make sure. So in here, I'm just going to paste it in. This is just me going, all right, cool. So get object or 404. I'm just going to do something like that. We are going to hover over this. We are going to import this from the Django shortcuts. Oh, hang on. REST framework. All right. From REST framework. I actually don't know where it is in the REST framework. Generics. All right. Easy done. By the way, is there a good opportunity to find work in the future with JavaScript? I think it is still one of the most powerful languages. I think yes. There's a lot of web pages. There's a lot of web applications built with it, including web pages, both the front end and the back end. So yes, I think JavaScript is here to stay. It is definitely, if you want to move into that sort of web development ecosystem, it is definitely a good language to learn. So especially if you want to learn both front end and back end stuff. So yeah, definitely. And the best thing is you can also learn other frameworks fairly quickly and easily. Yeah. Going to the web app? Yeah, definitely then. All right, so what we got is we're gonna have to get a query set. Now, this is where we'll probably need the parent object. So I'm just going to go parent object, and this is going to be object dictionary, and we're going to pass through the destination. We do need to pull this in. This is our utility that we sort of created. So I'm going to pull that in. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So with the query set, that will equal the parent object dot objects dot, and we're going to apply a we should be doing this off sprint. Hang on, sorry. Query set will equal the sprint.objects.filter. We'll need a get where is deleted equals false. We also need to make sure that sprint ID is the sprint ID. We also need to make sure that the this is where we use some of this magic stuff, where we go destination ID equals the location ID. So if we've got a project or something like that, what we're saying is, hey, can you filter all these sprints for these? We're going to check against the sprint ID. And then I'm going to type in the sprint ID in here. Like so. And that should do it. Famous last words. So what we're doing is check to make sure the destination, location ID match the sprint ID. So yeah, the user's got to get both the destination, location, and the sprint ID correct. That's pretty simple. So if we jump into a sprint right now, bang this off to the right. Now we've got sprint information up at the top as the thing, but it will be this parent object that it's connected to. So that will be a project and a 10. So yeah. All right. Now we've got that. That will check for that. So we'll be happy with that. We no longer need to do that, I think. Famous last words, we'll probably end up having to do it. Then we've got the sprint object assignment that gets connected. We've got the object type. So that will be like a project or something like that. So we've got the ID, and that will be the object ID. Now we'll need, so that will be this table. date create, date modified. I think we don't need to. And Idriv. Welcome back. How are you going? Good day to you too. I don't think we need the date created, date modified because they auto generate. Is deleted, auto sets to 0. The change user ID will need to feed through. So change user will equal the request.user. We're all happy with that. So the project ID, the requirement ID, and the task ID, they're the ones connected to that object type and so forth like that. It's the sprint ID that we want. So we need to go sprint ID equals the sprint ID that we set up just before. We no longer need this parent object. So we're using everything that's here, and that's fine. I mean, considering we're probably using destination and location ones, we'll probably remove them from here and put them in here. I tend to do this to flat pack everything out to make it easier to read when we're doing some more complicated stuff down here. However, that's fine. That we're using in multiple places, the object type and the object ID. So the object type will be just one. This is actually just meant to be ID, not object ID, sorry. And then that will loop through, and then we've just got to create it. So once it's all created, then we can send back our results. So I think that's almost what we need. You're doing good. About to test my 600 lines of code challenge changes from this morning. Oh, nice. That's a lot of code changes. That is a lot. But then again, I've been doing massive commits and pull requests lately, but that's because we're going from Umbraco 8 to Umbraco 13. Massive changes. So yeah. Alright. Now it is complaining about that. We can't use object ID. But we can use single ID. Like that. Now, I think getting the data. You okay, Socks? Do you want to get down? Oh, careful. She's like, no. Fuck it up. No, Socks, no. What did you do? Alright. We've got the sprint view somewhere. Sprint API view. I'm just double checking what we do when we get stuff. So it's not the create, it's not the destroy, it would be retrieve. Retrieve we've got to cancel out too. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly do this. Response status equals method log. No, we'll just do that quickly. I reworked a whole character sheet logic for my Game Master AI. A huge simplification, actually. Oh, nice, nice. So yeah, I do like simplification of code. I also do like when you sort of figure something out and you come back to it and you're like, I can do this better. And you're like, you start deleting more code than adding in. And you're like, this is a lot better. I do like that. All right, so for this particular case, what we need to do is we just need to get the results. So that will be as simple as we're getting the link results. So that will be object results equals, and it'll be self underscore get object results. And then we pass through the sprint ID. Get the new list of object results. And then from there, we serialize it. Now this won't be the sprint serializer. This will be the sprint object serializer. And then we pass through the object results. Mini is going to be true. Oh no, I think that still works. Just says it's an object. Yeah, I think that works. Oh, socks. Stop standing on my stuff. All right. And then what we want to do is we want to return response. We want the serialized data, and we want the HTTP 2. I'm going to say no to the 200 because we just created something. HTTP 201 create. I need to start putting in complaints about this editor. I moved down to there. What do you expect happens when you hit it? It does that, but it overrides it every now and then. It puts in the wrong thing. Annoying as hell. All right, cool. 194 plus 19. Wow. All right. So yeah, I just noticed I forgot the migration though. Oh no. I'm assuming a database migration. Oh. All right. So. Sorry, I don't know if there's a cat outside the door sneezing. Oh, making some random noises. I don't know if that's been picked up in the microphone. All right, so we've done the creation process. Because the listing process is going to be super easy to do. Now we should have the sprint ID. Because we'll go into this. Yep. But not too bad. None has used the old features from the look of it. Oh, nice. Time to code in NeoVim. Yeah, I wouldn't mind to. I just don't know how to set it up. Yeah, the one problem I have with JetBrains is their AI sort of stuff. And also the fact that when it starts suggesting new stuff, it'll start suggesting more than one thing in multiple locations. And sometimes it's like, oh, press enter to do this, or press tab to do that. And you press the tab and it does not do what the tab says. It does something completely and utterly different. I've had to turn off the AI feature in this particular IDE because I noticed that it was editing code elsewhere, out of my focus. So it wasn't on this screen. It was actually further down in the code. I was like, I did not add that in because I just don't code like that. Yeah. I need to start editing my editor and really stripping it down, being like, don't do this, don't add in this, stop doing this, and stuff like that, because it is actually ruining the coding experience. It is getting to that point where I'm looking at NeoVim being like, I kind of want to use something like that now because I'm having so many problems with my IDE. So, yeah. All right, I forgot what I was going to paste into here, but that doesn't matter. What we want to do is we want to, oh yes, I wanted to do that. So we want to get the sprint ID. If sprint ID equals nothing or sprint ID is none, we want to return a response where the status is bad. Yeah. We shouldn't be getting there. Yeah, either did I. And yes, that is actually a security issue. And yeah, I've started to actually read a lot of my code before I submit now. I've noticed in other code bases too that sometimes it'll include libraries, because I've written out something. This is for .NET for this reference. So I've written out something like a list, and that's got to include. You've got to import the system.linkQ or something like that. And I've been doing something along those lines. I've tried something else, and then it's added in some other random library. I'm like, I did not add that. So yeah, I've got to start turning off all these bits of functionality, because I'm like, I didn't write that piece of code, nor would I have written that piece of code. So yeah. All right, so we've got the sprint ID. We're double checking to make sure that there's a value in it. In reality, this should work. Everyone should be happy. We should also do a check. Once again, we should definitely run this particular check. And the reason being is we want to make sure that the user's got the correct object and so forth like that. So I'm just going to copy that code. I'm just realizing now that that makes my this redundant now. Yeah, because we got that. We won't need that, we won't need that. So we just need those particular 3 fields. We need to check to make sure that this object does exist. Once it does exist, we're all happy. Get the data. So what we want to do is we want to go and essentially copy these lines. So we want to yank those 8 lines. We're going to get the data. We're going to do that. And yeah. All right. So I am having a look at this. I'm pretty sure that's all we need to do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all we need to do, because we're getting a list. We're checking to make sure that that sprint that they're calling is connected to those particular objects that they're calling, and then we're just getting the data. That's all we need to do. These methods are not supported. We're sending back the correct sort of data for that. Now with the destroy, once again, we've got to make sure that we're doing the correct thing. Now, in this sort of case, considering we've just copied and pasted a code block 3 times, we could potentially put this in a method or function or something like that, and just call that. That way, if we need to edit this at any time, it's all in one spot. But I don't know if that get object or for a forward will... It should. No, it should. If memory serves me correctly, it does something that isn't a return. It is raise. Yeah, it does a raise. So let's actually do that. Let's actually create that right now. So up at the top, what we're going to do, we're going to go def check sprint. In reality, I don't think this will be... I think this will be a static element. All right, I'm just going to do that at the moment. I don't know why it wants me to pass that through. A couple of seconds. All right, cool. Oi, fuck off. Sorry, excuse the French. That was a keyboard problem then. That wasn't an IDE problem. We want to pass through the quags. And I'm pretty sure we don't need that, and we can actually make this a static method. So we're actually happy with this. This is just doing a check, and then it'll just return. I think that return is redundant. We don't need it. Yeah, it should be that simple. So in here, what we can actually do now is, we are actually utilizing a couple of those in there. And in fact, we can simplify this. For the destination, quags, destination, I'm all happy with that. Quags, that'll be location ID, I'm happy with that. And then, oops. I don't know what happened then. And I can't undo. I've got the cap locks on. All right. Quags, the sprint ID, they're no longer used here. So we're simplifying this down a little bit. We can get rid of this, and we can just go self.check sprint. And then we pass through the quags. Oops, where am I? Where am I? I'm here, I'm here. All right, cool, quags. And then I can get rid of this. Now I'm having a quick look. Is object type used in multiple spots? No, it isn't. I'm just going to be like, all right, we're going to cheat. We're just going to go serializer.data, and then we're just going to go object type in here, and we're going to be like, all right, cool. There we go. That one's gone. The sprint ID we're using in multiple places, so I'll keep that as a flat pack. The object ID we are using here, but we can just go serializer. No, that was the object ID. So we've got like that, and then yeah, it's because we use this in multiple spots. Just 2 spots. There we go. Sometimes refining your code is best. All right, so we've got the check there, which also means with the destroy, we run the check. So it'll be self.check sprint with the quads, and then we'll add some code in and we'll be all happy. With this one, yeah, we'll be doing the same thing. So we'll go self.check sprint quags, easy done. We're all happy with that. Now in here, we don't have the sprint ID, but that's perfectly fine. We just go quags, sprint ID, everyone's happy with that. And there we go. We've just deleted a bunch of repetitive code. Made it look a lot nicer. And now we can destroy stuff. The fun part of the day. All right, cool. So what we want to do when we want to destroy stuff is, I'm pretty sure the destroy is meant to have a pk equals. Yeah, so that's meant to actually have a pk equals none in here. Then what I want to do is, we don't need to. All right, Give me a second. I'm having a look at with the link API with the destroy. So we check the destination, remove object. All right, cool. We get the PK. Now, because we've done the check, we're all happy with the check. So what I want to do, we just want the sprint object assignment to objects, because I'm just trying to remember how I'm doing this. So we go back to the Swagger documentation. So if, for example, let's have a look at notes or other object connections and stuff like that. Let's actually have a look at the links. So with the links, when we delete a link, we're sending back an ID. So remove a single link from this object. The IDs can be linked to be obtained. Yep. So destination can only be, all of those. Location ID is the ID of that specific object. So for example, project 2, and the link ID should be the object assignment. All right, cool. Replacing box with functionality, so certified. So the sprint objects, and then what we want to do is we want to filter. In this sort of case, we're kind of happy that the PK will equal PK. And then what we want to do is, instead of delete, we're going to update. So we're going to soft delete this. And it is as simple as that. That's all we really need. And then the next sort of thing is, I'm just going to grab these 7 lines. I'm going to paste those in. And that should be all of our CRUD. So yeah, that is all our CRUD. Now, what is the time? 2:30, so 6, so it should be 9-ish. Yep, there we go. It's 9 o'clock at the moment. All right. So now we're going to register this endpoint. So we're going to do that. Let's minimize everything. Let's open up NearBeach, URLs, API version 0. What we are after in here is something similar to this. So we'll have destination. If we scroll down to the sprint, it'll be destination, object sprint ID, link. There we go. We've done a example from before. All right, cool. So down here we've got destination. I like things in alphabetical order. So we are going to copy this. We're going to paste this. We are going to then, I'm going to do that so you guys can see what's exactly happening. We're going to add on to here a reference. So we're going to add that in, and then we're going to go link at the very, very end. We don't need to do that. We just need to go down here. We need to $P sprint ID, and that will be 0 to 9 plus. So that's a little bit of regexy type of stuff. Instead of actually hitting this API, so this is the object sprint API, we are going to hit the sprint link API. And we're going to type in sprint link API view dot, it'll be the sprint link API view set, I do believe, and then the base name would be the sprint link API. Now that being said, we've got, object sprint. So just hovering over that, we're going to click on this. We're going to import that. We're going to double check sprint link view set. We're going to click on that. We're going to paste that. We're going to paste that in. Had a spelling mistake in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to test it. Actually, we're going to use, we're just going to go to the front end and make a couple of changes. So when we do this, where we're removing stuff, we've got add object to sprint. I'm just going to copy that. We've got add object to sprint. What we want to do is we want to change this now to match that URL. So in here, what we've got it as is object data, sprint, all that kind of fun stuff. We no longer want any of that. What we need is we need a destination. So this .url and then API version 0. Version 0 / this .destination / this .location ID. Sorry, wrong one. So destination, API version 0, destination location, object sprint, and then we need the sprint ID. Ooh. All right. Ads have started. For those on YouTube, I run ads every half an hour on Twitch to sort of stop the pre-rolled ads. They suck. Essentially, you join a channel and you have to watch ads for about 1:30 and you're like, no, I'm out of here. We tend to do this whilst that's happening. I think I've missed a couple tonight and I do apologize. However, I need to go to the bathroom very, very quickly. We are just gonna put socks up onto the screen again, and I will be right back. Delete is 201 created, or did I misread? I'm gonna double check that because highly likely it is incorrect and I'll need to fix that. I'll be right back. Hey, Patty. All right, I'm back. All right, let's actually check that. All right, cool. Workstation. Let's jump back in. That was for the Spring Link API. So let's scroll down. We've got the create. So the create is a 201. We've got the destroy. Yes, you are right. That is incorrect. That should be HTTP. It should be 204 no content. Now it says, if I hit tab, all right, it worked that time. Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. I drink. I better double check all of these. That shouldn't be that. That should be a 200, okay. And these are fine. All right, cool. Oh, lists. Yep. Destroy. Yep. All right, awesome. Thank you very much. So, yes, and I don't know if Paddy's in this room. So you better be nice. No attacking him again. I got raided the other day, and like 30 seconds after the raid, Socks has decided that nope, she didn't want Patty in this room anymore, and a little fight broke out. I was not happy. So yeah. All right. So yeah, those mistakes down here were me. I can't blame anyone else because getting back into this, I'm sorry, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're going in. Now this is a post to the sprint ID, and then it will be a link like so. All right, do we have the sprint ID at this level? Apparently we do. Like, it's coming up with the information right here, so I'm happy if it is right there. All right, so when we now need to fix this stuff up. So we've got the form data, and then what I want to do, data to send dot set object type is, this dot object type, that's pretty easy. Now this is not right anymore. Though we do use a for each loop to do this. So data to send dot append. What we want to do is we're appending the object ID, and that's just going to be the link. Yep, there's Patty. No fighting. Hey, buddy. Yeah, come here. Yeah, come here. Yes. You behave. She doesn't like Patty, sadly. Alright, so those are some changes that I've got to add. I've got to remove this add code. That is that I left that in there. So when we get the response back, we've got the Gantt chart data equals the response dot Gantt chart data. Let's have a look at what that's going to send back. So if we have a look at sprint 1, that's connected to project 10. So we're going to go... we just got sprint here, but... Why am I doing it? Hang on. That's creating it. Oh, still with manipulating it too. But then again, where is sprint in here? Sorry, I'm just rethinking if I should just have the API down at this level, because we do actually have the sprints down at this level. We are adding stuff at this level. I've just realized I've made a big grave error, but it's something we can easily fix up very, very quickly, so it's not going to be a problem. Hey, Patty. No? Oh, alright. Stop being pouty. Okay. You're still Stream's favorite. Alright, so I'm going to make a couple of changes. First change, I'm getting rid of that. We're going to find sprint. We're going to paste it in after sprint. We're going to remove a lot of this. We're still going to have sprint. We're going to have the /. We've got the sprint ID, and then we've got the link. So we do something similar up here when adding in the Kanban cards and stuff like that. And then we've got the sprint link API, that's still all going to be the same. Now, because we won't have the destination and location and sort of stuff, when we check the sprint to see if it exists, we no longer need to do that check. So we're just checking on the sprint ID. And that should make everything really super simple in here. If I search for destination, that will be checked to make sure sprint exists. That's another thing I really hate. So Python, you need tabs to tab in. And then all of a sudden, when you create a new line and you start tabbing, it will just insert random crud. All right, so what I'm going to do is, this is check to make sure sprint exists. And there's no more destinations. Okay, that makes life a lot easier now. Weird question maybe, but why Python for the backend? Not a weird question. So many years ago, we're talking almost a decade ago, I was trying to use PHP and I was learning PHP. And then I came across quite a number of tutorials when learning PHP that included examples that clearly had SQL injection in them and dangerous sort of stuff. And I was like, this is terrible. This is what I've come from, like I learnt C and stuff like that. This is absolutely what you do not do. And I couldn't find a really good tutorial to sort of get around that. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna put PHP down for the moment. I know Python, so I'm just gonna try and learn web development with Python. And I went Python web framework into Google, and it came up with Django. And I was like, all right, cool. I clicked on the getting started with Django, and within 20 minutes of doing this tutorial, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna build NearBeach with this, and that's it. That's all. That's why. So yeah, since then, if you have my recommendation with PHP is use something like Laravel. And there are a lot better tutorials nowadays online that sort of teach you how to do it properly, to say that. I do believe Laravel has an ORM. So you can use Elegant ORM for Laravel and PHP and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah, that's why. This has nothing, I'm not chucking any shade on PHP or anything like that. It's just that when I was learning, I knew about those particular exploits and how easy it was to do. It's chucking shade on those tutorials and that sort of documentation and all that kind of stuff that had the incorrect way of doing things in it. So yeah. To be fair, I started 15 years ago with PHP injections were really a solved issue for the most part. So yeah, they were a solved issue, and I knew that. And this is about 2016. So yeah, just less than 10 years ago. And I was like, I can't find any proper tutorials on how to actually get data from the user and put it in the database correctly. So yeah. And to be fair, this is also before I learned about ORMs and stuff like that. So Django taught me about ORMs. I then started using Laravel for my last job back in 2019. And yeah, and I really enjoyed the experience within Laravel. So yeah. And PHP in itself as a language has come far within the last 10 years too. All right, so I simplified that. I've made everything a lot simpler. So now we'll have API version 0 and then the sprint ID and then the link there. I think that's going to be a lot easier to do. And it makes sense like that. And I forgot that I had sprints down here, and also explains why I've got the thing up there like that. So yeah. Got huge improvements, yes, definitely. I think PHP 7 was a massive jump from 5, and 8 was even a cartwheel, and a massive sort of improvement too. So yeah. And it also helps that you got great frameworks like Laravel too. So yeah. I do kind of want to go back to Laravel if I ever have another project, just because I haven't used it in a while now, since for 4 years. So yeah, 8.4 has a scary performance issue with Laravel's DI, to be honest. Oh, all right. Well, I did not know that. All right. All right, getting back into this, at least according to my measurements. Okay, fair enough. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was changing stuff for the front end. Sorry, it's been a long week. My brain is on the fritz at the moment. Excuse me whilst I try and find my code. It's right there, all right. So going back down here, we're going to change this. We no longer need the destination location. We just need the version 0 sprint, the sprint ID, and the link. Now we're posting to it, so it's going to create an object. Bias, obviously, got my own DI container. Oh, fair enough. I'm terrible with acronyms. What's the DI? I'm famously terrible with acronyms. You can ask anyone. Oh, what did we put? Link? Not list. Link. Details. Not found. All right, cool. Dependency injection. Okay, yeah. Alright, so that's going to post to that. And then, so the create's going to send that back, and then the list. Did we not hit this list? Detail not found. We did. And then it's not found. All right. Let's just go to that implementation. So in here, we've got the, it could be that. All right, let's hit it again. Oh, we got sprint ID. Okay, Quark, sprint ID, let's... Sorry, I don't know the shortcut yet. Is deleted equals false. Alright, I'm just doing a quick testing here. Sprint ID equals Quark, sprint ID. We're just doing that very, very quickly. Let's make sure that's filled out. And then we're checking against sprints. Alright. So we should have a sprint with that ID because we've got a sprint with an ID right here. So we go refresh. We jump into here. We're going to jump down into here. We're going to, yeah, we've got sprint ID. I think I know what. I think that's it. No, all right. I'm gonna put this up here now, just. I'm just going to comment that out. I don't know if that's the problem, but we should be getting a sprint with an ID. So if we hover over queries, sorry, if we hover over, let's filter. I made a big boo-boo. This is meant to be filter, not get. So get will just get you that particular one. However, with filter, it will give you a query set instead of a single object. And that's what I've done wrong. So if we hit play again, get rid of that breakpoint. We're just gonna hit play, done. All right, so silly mistakes on a late Friday evening. Should start a podcast like that. All right, so what we're getting is we're getting all of these objects like this, which is great. So it's literally just the data that we get back. All right, cool. I'm happy with that. That is perfect. So in the front end, what we got is we now know what we want. We don't have to worry about that. We just got to worry about the response.data. We're mapping it. We're making a few changes in here to match it up with how we want it. That's because Django will send back something like that. And we want it in a particular format. So yeah. Then that should commit that up, and then that should all work like that, and then that should do that. All right, sweet. I am gonna say, let's also do the delete at the same time. So this delete, that will actually delete something. So if we do that and we click yes, that will go remove object from sprint. I'm just gonna copy that. Oops, wrong copy. We're going to quickly find that. We're going to go over here, and what we want to do is we're doing that. And we've got the root URL, object data, this will all change because we'll have the object ID. We won't need that anymore. We won't need that. So we just need to make a call to the backend. We need the correct URL. So what we're going to do, API version 0, we're going to go and hit our sprint. We're then going to hit our sprint ID. Like so. We're going to remove that. We're going to hit our link, and then we're going to hit this .object ID. And that's pretty much it. And then when we get the data back, we do that. Now, I have a feeling that this did a little bit more than just delete it from the sprint. Actually, no, I think it just did that. Store dispatch, remove, get chart single row. That will just remove all of that. Yep, that's perfectly fine. And then cat, yeah, all right, sweet. When we move this to the API, we'll actually get all of this to update from the data from the API. So yeah, no fighting, no, he's nowhere around. No, come here. Come here. No. Come here. Come on. No. It's just me. He's out. He's no longer here. Alright, Socks has been a little fussy. Alright, so I think this has been compiling. Cool. Yep, we're just gonna reload. What's the time? Also 9:30. I'll probably finish up soon. I am getting a little bit tired. So have I been adding objects to it? Possibly. Oh yeah, I have been adding stuff to it, of course. So first things first, let's remove a couple of items. Let's go. Yes. Oh, we've got a 404. Oh, we've got an undefined for the sprint ID. So we'll need to get that information. Now, I'm hoping I've done something smart and I've put it in the VueJS, so the state management. And Chitty Can, how are you going? Welcome. How's your stream? What did you get up to? I'm holding Socks at the moment because Patty, the other cat, has walked in here and she's gotten angry. I might have to shut the bedroom door just so that she doesn't escape. I've also got to make sure he isn't in here. Because last stream what actually happened was she started attacking him live on stream. I just got raided too. Alright, he's not in here, sweetie. Alright, there you go. I'm also gonna stand. And thank you very much for the follow. Hannah so high. Welcome. I do hope you are enjoying my content. I've just got to adjust everything now. Alright. I think that's fine. Let's have a quick look. Yeah. Alright, that's fine. That's perfect. What did you get up to on your stream? No, Socks. He's not in the room. He's not in the room. She's like that bitch. Alright, we've got the Gantt chart. We don't have the sprint number in here. I don't know if we keep it. Ooh, this might be one thing which we might want to actually put up here. Was working on integration Steam Workshop still. Oh, fair enough. Oh, did we get raided whilst I was gone for it? Yes. So yeah, I haven't had a raid in a while, and then all of a sudden, bang! It floods in. It's nice. So yeah, hopefully everyone's going well. I got to do my little spiel. Hi, I'm Robotic. I'm currently building an open source project management system. This means you could use it free for to help you build your own projects. Essentially, you can get the basic user and customer sort of details. From there, you can create requirements or customer requirements, and then break them down into requirement items, which think stories. From there, you can create Kanban boards, projects, tasks, and when you're ready to deploy, you've got a request for change. So yeah. All right. So I've now got to find out if I app store the sprint ID anywhere, or if I need to pass this down. So if we're passing from one component to another and it's only one level, we could potentially use the props that are there. However, if we've got to pass it down several levels, let's say more than one, I'm going to lean on actually putting a state management in, because it's going to be a lot easier to sort of handle that movement of information. So we usually have object link. So that's the object link when we hit delete or something like that. So if I hit delete over here, it should be filling out something there. I don't know if this refreshes. GDPR, that ain't it. The Gantt chart, we've got the Delta days, Gantt chart data. So that's all the Gantt chart data. So that's been used on multiple different components. I could put the sprint number in here, but it could also belong on its own level. Confirm delete. Sorry, this is the confirm delete. You got the object types and stuff like that in here. Got the destination. Oh, got the sprint location ID. That's it. All right, so in here, it's not the sprint ID, it's actually the location ID. I've made a mistake. Not a problem. I know I made that mistake on another page too. It would be add object wizard. It would be sprint information. There's alert potential. No, not that one. Oh, sorry, I thought I saw Patty at the corner of my eyes. No, it was a ball of fluff. It's this here. So this will actually be the location ID. So these components will actually take that data from the state management system and yeah, fill it out. So in here, this is the destination, sprint, and location ID. Cool, this is this particular thing. And then we've got a title. I think that's all the information we need in here. I believe now this is correct. So I am going to hit refresh. We're going to bump this off to the right again, and we are going to delete some random tasks down here. So task 60, we're going to delete. Object has been removed. So task 60 should no longer be in here, but oh, it's still in there. So I'm going to have a look at the database. This is the object assignment table. I'm just going to hit reload. We've got a bunch in here. We're looking for task 60, which is this particular row here is deleted, has not been set. All right, so what I'm going to do is in the back end of the code, I'm going to go into the not the sprint, this one, and we are going to scroll all the way down to destroyed. We're going to click on this lovely thing, and we're going to make sure that it's actually hitting the right thing. So I'm going to go yes to that. It is hitting the correct spot. We are going over. We are filtering it. Now, I was under the impression that we do that. And we also got to put in the change user equals the request user. I did forget to do that. But yeah, that should have done that. Yeah, we filter for what we need. Okay, I'm just going to double check with the PK. So we're going to click on this. We want to hit delete. Yes. So we're in here. The PK, if I have a look, is 60. So it is 60. Oh, that's the task. Yeah, no, I know it now. That's the task ID. That's shoot. All right, I need to figure something out. All right, this is going left. Actually, no, it's going right. I know how to do this. If we go back into our view, actually, no. I'm going to show you guys first what we can potentially do. So in the sprint in the VueJS, we've got the confirm to delete, and we've got a bunch of objects in here. So we've got the object ID, we've got the task. We kind of, so when you click on delete, it will come up and be like, please confirm object removal. Please confirm you would like to remove this object from the sprint. we could hijack the object ID to be the correct thing. We don't need the object to set the object type, or we could set the parent object. No, I think setting that. All right, cool. So we need to find the confirm delete. So this is still going to be set up like this. All right, we're still going to use the object ID, but we're going to use the correct ID. So going up here, we need confirm object removal. Did you want to get down? No? All right, cool. Sorry, talking to socks. All right. This would be... And this is where we can use tools like this to actually find out where these components are actually kept. It would be kept fairly high up, and I think under here, there it goes. So under Gantt chart, we've got confirmed. All right, easy done. So Gantt chart. Will be under source, JavaScript components, Gantt chart. This will then have the Gantt chart information, which is this particular page. And from here, we will have that particular confirmed object removal, but we're not too worried about this. This is where we want to actually go render Gantt group. So render Gantt row is as far down as I want to go. So that's these individual rows. They will contain that delete. And what I can do is I can pass a particular number into that. And then, you know, send it upstream and do all that funky stuff, which we want to do. So in here, we've got all of this. We've got the span. We've got the get object URL. We should, at the start, actually have the trash can confirm removal, which is where we want to go. So if we go down here, confirm removal, and this is where we're sending up the object type and the object ID. And Nocturnal, how are you? Hopefully you're going well. And this is where I actually want to have the ID. And I don't think I actually get that information. If I open up this, I actually don't have any of that information in here. In which case, I know I've done something in the past. You're not too bad? Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I can't complain. It's been a long week. So, yeah. Hopefully next week is just testing and wrapping things up. And yeah, I need a holiday. I really do need a holiday. I need to pay off more of my home loan too. So, yeah. I want it paid off in 2 years. Alright. So we do, in this case, do have a small little tiny issue. Me too? Yeah, fair enough. Which one? The holiday or the home loan or both? So, yeah. Both, yeah. Alright. So, just having a think where else I have solved this problem. And I think I've solved it somewhere else where the endpoint has just a /0 to it. And I've accepted that. And what I've done is I've handled what I need in there. Also, for yawn coming. To apologize. So let's have a look at the Swagger. Whoops, I'm clicking all the wrong buttons at the moment. I do know that there's something in here that we do something similar. So these are all gets. This is a post. Post, yep. All right, cool. That's fine. And then we've got the groups and user ID, the location ID. The ID for the result should be the object assignment ID. Okay, yes. I'm just having a think. I think in this sort of case, if there is, let's say there's a task that is under two different requirement items, and those requirement items were on the sprint, we want those to appear twice. I'm going to say, let's include the IDs. So we'll need to modify, luckily, only one function in the API. So we just want to go in here. We want to go down into this particular one. I'm just bringing this one over here. And then what I want to call it, Sprint Object Assignment ID, I think is going to be the best sort of name. So we just scroll all the way down to the values section. And then we probably up at the top, Sprint Object Assignment ID, and we key that in with the data. That way I can send that data off to the back end. So we're just gonna wait for that to reboot. Change user. Oh. Oh, yep. All right, cool. Not a problem. That will be a quick fix up here. So up here, we create all that. We're all happy with that. If not, no. Object parameter. We need the annotation section. Annotations. Here we are. And then we just delete that. Go sprint object assignment ID equals, and that's going to be a field, and that's going to be the object. No, hang on. It's a part of that. I'd say I've got to rewrite these queries again because I've used the wrong base point. No, I can do it. That would be sprint object assignment, and then under sprint object assignment ID. Sorry, is deleted equals false. That should work like that. I'm gonna move that one up here. Actually, no, this is the wrong if statement. I've got a All right, annotations. We'll then have sprint object ID, sprint object assignment ID equals, and that will be sprint object assignment under. And I'm just going to put PK because that's going to be a lot shorter. Yeah, sprint object assignment. Yep. And then I just need it down here. I've already got it down there. All right, we're just going to wait a little while. There we go. Now, it doesn't contain the ID. I also don't know how. Let's collapse all. It contains 14 at the moment. I forgot how many we actually had, but we'll find out in a second. What I want to do is I want to have a think. I want to edit the serializer. That's what I want to do. So we want the sprint object serializer. Down here, we're going to have the sprint object assignment ID. That's going to be an integer field. That's only going to be read only. And every single one should actually have an ID in it. All right, we're just gonna wait. We're hoping no whammies. All right, and I forgot to actually include it in the fields. Didn't I? Get fields? No. Sprint object assignment ID. Sprint object assignment ID. There we go. And there we go. So now I've just got to edit the front end to utilize that bit of data. So if we go with the render get row, when someone confirms the removal, we want this not to edit the object ID, or actually, I'm going to keep the object type and the object ID the same. But there's a parent object too. I mean, do I really need that data? All right, so we've got the parent object, the parent type, yeah. I'm gonna put in down here the what is it? The sprint object assignment ID. That is going to be of type number. Default is going to be 0, which is fine. We now got to set that up. So when we get the data, and I think those are props. Yeah, they're props. So we actually have to do that from the above section. So render Gantt group. So I'm going to open up this render Gantt group. We go through. There's all our data being passed through for the group. To do fixed is closed. We just have to put files. All right, I've got to. Can do that eventually. So vbind. We've got the sprint object assignment ID equals. Oh, this is render Gantt row. Hang on. Oh, this renders itself? Oh yeah, renders it's. Oh yep. All right, cool. I've gone crazy. Don't worry, because there's multiple different levels of this. So it can render itself down a couple of levels. So this will be this equals, and then what we want to do is, this will be rendering this particular row. So this will be rendering the sprint object assignment ID, like so. We need to put that in down here. That will be type number, default is 0, like so, and then we need to go further up with the Gantt chart information where we essentially render the row. So with the Gantt chart row, blah, blah, blah. Yep, and then V4, there's our render of the rows. This is limited down, sweet. So this will be the vbind equals row dot sprint object assignment ID. I do believe so. I'm just pasting it in just to make sure. Yep, that's perfectly fine. So that should be now passing the information down that we want. All right. We now need to, I'm just going to close all of these. We now need to do the render Gantt row. When someone hits confirm delete, confirm for removal. We don't need to put any of this stuff in. We just need the object ID to be the sprint object assignment ID. None of this is needed. And the reason being is we just need that ID to send into the URL, and then boom, Bob's your uncle, we're all happy. So going back into the sprint information, we're just going to hit refresh. We're going to go down. We're going to delete task 60. So task 60 itself is not, that ID should be matched to that connection in the database. So we want to go down. We want to go into confirm delete, and that's object ID 6. We want to go yes. Please wait for the removal of that object. It goes over here. We're just going to hit play and play it all the way through. Now that doesn't remove it from the front end at the moment. What we might do is, because we actually got data back from the back end. Oh no, it didn't. I might look at fixing that up. I might just, you know, get it to override that data from the API. So now that that has been done, if we just hit refresh, number 60 is no longer on here. So we just got to fix the when we delete it to make that sure that actually deletes. If I go and add something in, I should be able to add in, let's say, task 9. I'm just going to go, all right, cool. I'm going to add that in. Ooh. We failed with a request of undefined. Object type is undefined. All right. We need to fix that one up quickly. I'm just wondering what the time is. It is 10 o'clock. It probably will take me another hour or two to get this done. I need a break, honestly. I'm probably going to call it there tonight. So hopefully I can jump onto this tomorrow and get this all done. Because it'd be great to actually have this pointed at the API system early on. We can then write, all right, this is what we need to do to actually improve it. So when we actually do move everything else to the API, we can, you know, we can use the better way. I don't know where I was going with that. All right, so let's find someone to raid. All right, we've got a couple. All right. Learning Jetpack. All right, let's read Avocado Violet. All right, I'll bring down Avocado down here. All right. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight. It has been wonderful. We got a lot done, which is awesome. We're so close to actually signing off on this one particular issue. It has been a rather large issue to fix. However, it's going to help us in the future anyway, because now we know, all right, cool, this is how we're going to tackle the API, implementing the API for everywhere else. Anyway, thank you very much. I do hope you enjoy Avocado Violet. So yeah, thank you. And for those on YouTube, thank you very much for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It does actually help me a lot. Sorry you can't follow us with Raid, but I do hope